I only picked up a strange rock in the mountains, but the moment I held it in my hand, I noticed it could shift its shape like it was alive. What scared me even more was that the rock was warm at 37 degrees, the exact temperature of the human body. Right then I knew I might have struck it rich, because I had never seen anything like this before. I was convinced it had to be worth a fortune. To confirm my guess, I quickly took a few photos and sent them to an appraisal expert, hoping he could estimate the value. But just then, my dad suddenly called and told me something heartbreaking. My older sister had late-stage cancer, and my father, who had no money for treatment, was ready to give up. Hearing that, I immediately told him to wait for me, because if I sold this rock I had just found, I would have the money. So I rushed to the airport, carrying the rock, hoping to save my sister. But on the way, I ended up facing a life-and-death crisis. As the plane approached a snowy mountain, the pilot suddenly noticed a massive flock of birds blocking the path. With no other choice, he tried his best to avoid them, but what he didn't expect was that the birds would actually attack the plane. The control panel lit up with warning lights instantly, and the aircraft completely lost control, watching the plane drop straight toward the ground. The pilot held the controls tight, trying to minimize whatever we might crash into. The next second, the plane slammed into the mountain. Luckily, when I woke up, I only had a few scratches, but the captain had a huge gash across his stomach. To survive, I immediately got out of the cabin and shouted for help, but no matter how loud I yelled, there was no response in this deserted forest. So I had to return to the cabin and try the radio, but there was nothing but silence. With no other option, I pulled out a compass and a map and pinpointed where we roughly were. When I learned the closest road was 50 kilometers away, I fell into complete despair. Because it was the peak of winter, there was no way I could carry the injured captain and make a wilderness escape. That would be suicide. So I grabbed a box from the plane and used a lighter to set it on fire, hoping someone would see the smoke. But in this frozen mountain forest, no one lived anywhere nearby, and this was about to become a brutal fight for survival.